I would like to turn it over to Samson Auta, who is going to speak today on the perceptions of spatial application in mixed communities. Samson, are you with us and able to share your screen?
Good evening from
Hello,
Nigeria.
sir.
How are you all doing? Yeah,
Welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to have listened to all the presentation, and from the last presentation that we received from PINT, we've always been following up with their work here in Nigeria. I know they work a lot in the southern part of the country, the southern part of the country, and we shared with us their newsletters and emails that they shared, and which I think it is really important in terms of the discussion to address atrocity as it happened in communities that are already prone. And for those communities that are peaceful, we continue to work earnestly to see how we can address some of this problem so that they can serve as peace model. For me, my name is Samson Auta from the Interfaith Mediation Center. For us, we have a grassroots early warning system, and that was developed with a friend, Matt, who was here in Nigeria, and from 2015 or so, they were here, and the structure is still in existence. And for us, we are able to sustain this initiative even after the funding from the project we did, supported by USID, which is called Training of Religious Leaders on National Coexistence, known as Tolerance. For me, speaking about the challenges of the spatial methods in addressing some of the problem in mixed communities is really an issue because, for example, if you are in Nigeria and you're following up with events, you could see that issues around political, ethnic, and religious seems to have a lot of problem when it comes to reporting early warning information to relevant structures. When you're reporting this information, it depends who is receiving it, what interest does he have when he received this information. Let me just give you an example. I know we have about 3 different structures that we equip and we train. The first one, we call them the community peace observers. They are at the grassroots level, just like one of the presenter from PINT highlighted to see those are the main guys that identify issues and they report it to us using the various groups that we've given capacity to. The first group that, like I said before, is the community peace observers at the community level. They've been trained, they've been equipped with different skills on conflict and peace building. At their level, they can mitigate, they can prevent, and they can create awareness. Apart from them, we have what we call the Conflict Mitigation and Management Regional Council. They are made up of 25 stakeholders coming from various institutions. And for us, we felt that those institutions represent organization that can take action depending on the situation that is reported. And for them, they've done a lot. And what we feel about them is how they will continue to sustain the structure, because in most cases, what we have in these structures, when the officer is retired, you have to write a letter to have another representation from that organization. And apart from that, I will explain more on the work they do, the Conflict Mitigation Management Regional Council. They work at the state level, and some of this group or most of these members are from the state or from the government. They represent various offices from the government. The other last part that we included of recent, in about 3 years, we have the Forum for Network of Peace Journalists, because we noticed that journalists also can escalate tension through their reportage, and we were able to engage them, and we were able to train them, and we identify with them as early warners, and if they have issues that is happening within a community, maybe a community that is prone to conflict, they will always highlight the needs for those that are responsible to take the response, or for those to mitigate those problems. So they come in handy. And part of what we do, we categorize it into two. The previous presenter also shared some of their perspective, their methodology. We look at networks that provide peace building initiatives. And we look at also the network that also helps to mitigate or to prevent conflict, looking at conflictual events. And the other aspect is those that promote peaceful coexistence in communities, and we look at them as model. But to highlight my presentation is to say that most of the problem we have is you identify this information, and when you receive it from the grassroots or from the structure, you analyze, you discuss, and you share it with those relevant institutions. But the challenge is who at that point is receiving the information. Does he have an interest, or is he part of an interest? So when you send it to somebody that is part of an interest, then the positive aspect of what you are sending, you will never see the impact, because already the information will be compromised. We've seen it happening in so many instances where, like during the election, some of the politicians will buy over some of those response system. And when you report this information, nothing is being done. And again, when you are reporting this information, for example, to a person that is from an ethnic group, and he has an interest within a group that you are reporting against, it means that your information will not go through, and even your life is at risk, because you are neutral. You report this based on the work you felt you want to do with some of your other members that we work together with. So you begin to feel you're putting yourself in danger. And again, when you look at issues that has to do with ethnic identity, when you report it, somebody else will take it differently. We've seen of recent what happened in Kaduna. There was this report that was shared with the security, with the army, and at the end of the day, the host community were affected. People were killed. The numbers keep increasing, but from the government angle, they have their numbers. Even from our end, we normally share numbers, but we don't want to share it like to the general public per se, but we want the relevant agency to understand that this is the magnitude of the people that were affected, people killed, people injured, because we felt at times when you report incidences and you share those numbers to the public, the way the public take it, the way the public translate it becomes another peculiar tax, and we feel it affects the work we do. And that was why you had me when we suggested this topic with my other colleagues to say in a mixed society where you have this political interest, religious interest, ethnic identity interest, it makes it difficult for you to be trusted, even though it is an important advent that we need to utilize in this century. And but on the other way, it has become something else. So we are looking at how can we make this work? How can we make this work? And we've discussed with some people to say, okay, we need to do more. We need to create more awareness so that people can realize those responsible will know that they have work to do. They know that when it comes to early warning, it is something that you need to be open, you need to be sincere, because it is all about sharing information, but information that is credible, not just sharing information based on sentiment or based on misconception or stereotype. So those are some of the feelers we have on ground, and we felt we really need to explore this opportunity, seeing that we are discussing with a vast group of organizations and experts on this field to see how do we work on this issue that has become a monster in terms of addressing or mitigating conflict and violence in our society. Like I said earlier, on the other hand, those initiatives that promote peace is something that we will always encourage, and we will always work with those relevant agencies that we feel that are open. Like in the case of Kaduna State, where I live, we have the Kaduna Peace Commission that we collaborate with, and we share a lot of information among us. But in so many instances, we've received reports when community members report maybe directly to some officers or to some of those contacts that they have, no response. You don't see any action being taken. And just to add to part of these issues that we have, when you share or community members share information about a locality or a location where they felt that we have that is prone to conflict, it takes time before any action is taken. And this begins to give some people concern. Even for us, it gives us a lot of concern to see, are we putting our life at risk? Because people that you work with believe in you. So you that is working with somebody or organization that are supposed to take action, not taking the action, it means like you are just in between. So it gives us a source of concern to see we have to have a rethink of how we do this work. People that are in those positions that need to do the work in terms of response to information that we share need to do it with all their hearts or in the interest of the survival of human beings or for the security of community members. And we also have issues that has to do with these structures that you work with. Most times, when they communicate, you don't have rest like feedback. There's no feedback mechanism in terms of what is happening. At times, what you normally hear when you send an SMS or an information, what they will tell you, or the response is okay, noted. And for you working on this field, you need to have a feedback to say, okay, yeah, the information that you shared, the location that has been identified using the various maps is well known. But for those people taking the action, or people, those agencies that need to take the action are not doing their work as they should, it is really a major cause for concern. And we feel that at this conference that we will be discussing for today and tomorrow, we can explore means to see how we can really work to address some of these problems so that it will help us in our work. And again, we also have some structures, not formally trained, but I know we engage with some human groups and also work with people living with disability. But some of them are also part of those three structures that I identified earlier on. And I feel that in terms of doing this work, people should be open, both from the community level, both from our end, because we have a hub where we receive information, where we analyze those information, and we also share feedback with those that share those information with us. In most cases, some even at the community level, some people that shared information with you will give you narrative that is not true. That is why you have to go round and round again to have more feedback, so that when you share it with those responsible to take those action, they will take you as serious as it is. But when it comes to people trying to showcase just their own narrative or just their own position about an information, it becomes difficult. And lastly, I want to add to say, for some of these locations that have been identified for years, but nothing has been done, it is really a great challenge for us, because people can keep reporting information about a particular region, and those relevant agencies that are aware of this same information are doing nothing, not 1 year, not 2 years, 3 years or more. That is to tell you from the experience we have, and that is also a problem that will make it difficult for people to believe in, even because you have the information, they identify the location, but nothing is being done. So how can the spatial map help us or help the community members to see for themselves, to believe in the system, so that we will continue to have information that will help us prevent conflict, violence, tension in communities, or also to use those maps to help us promote peace initiative that bring harmonious understanding among people, be it ethnic, be it religious. It can be for those coming from for their different political reasons, but all to have an understanding that this is done to help to sustain peace within communities. I would like to stop here. Thank you very much.
Samson, so much for bringing such a human perspective to this conversation. I think a lot of us here are focused on how exactly are we going to create data and create maps with the hope that this technological solution is really going to be key to improving early warning, early action. And I think that you lend a lot of sophisticated insight into who is creating the data, who is viewing the map, and realizing that technology is not kind of the panacea, right? So I really appreciate that. I really appreciate your discussion around kind of bias and issues of trust, similarly to like what our previous speakers were talking about, creating trust in the data, creating trust in the process, inclusion of community members in the data production process. I think that's all really, really important. I do want to steal a question that was actually leveraged for the previous speakers, just for you, because I also think it's important. Can you speak to any specific moment or process in which you utilized a map or spatial data and brought that to the table for people who are doing conflict prevention or atrocity prevention, and found a way to use that data so that it could influence positively the way that they acted?
Yeah, thank you very much. Like in the case of Kaduna, we have a lot of issue that has to do with banditry and kidnapping. And for us, based on the data we received, based on the location, we were able to link up with the three structures, but this time around bringing the Kaduna Peace Commission, and we were able to share our perspective about particular area. And I think that gave them an insight to do more, because it is not coming just from our organization, but from this different organization, because they are aware of what is happening, and a lot of atrocity has happened in those locations, and they were able to do a lot, and it has helped to rescue a lot of people that were kidnapped, that were there for years. And the community now is relatively peaceful. People can move at some time, but initially before, you can't even move in the afternoon. You will be kidnapped, bandits will take you at will, and at the end of the day, they will ask you for ransom in millions. You've never seen 1,000 naira. Like a friend was saying when we were discussing to say, how does a dollar look like? He said he can't even remember what a dollar looks like. So people will be asked to pay a lot of ransom just for somebody that has never seen 1,000 naira. He doesn't even have a work to do. And I know there's a lot that also happened in the case of Katsina. We have this information, and once we related it to the relevant security agencies, they were apt and timely, and they were able to act, and they did a lot of effort, and they were able to rescue a lot of people. Community members now can go to their farm because of those efforts, because of those data that we received and those data that we shared. But I believe that we can do more with these experiences. Thank you.
I appreciate that. There was one question from the chat that I wanted to extend out. The question was with regards to what is fueling conflicts, whether it be religious or political, and how you go about creating tolerance within your community. What is the best route for creating unity and effective communication, whether it be with maps or without?
Yeah, thank you for that. I think this has been a serious issue. I know there has been a lot of research to say what is fueling all this conflict. At times, from so many school of thought or from so many research we receive or from community members, people will tell you poor governance. Those are the things that fuel all this problem. And to some certain level, some will bring the idea to say, no, it is simply ethnic problem. When you go deep down again, you identify it as connection with religion, because anything you do in Nigeria here, most especially in the north, when you market it with religion, anyhow, it will always move like a wildfire. So for me, I believe it is a component of all these areas, and the religion has its aspect, the ethnicity identity has its aspect, and the poor governance have its aspect. But if when you look at governance again, with the situation we have in our country, the governance won't be able to address all the problems. It needs time, and when you say time, time is also another problem. So what I believe in, if there is this holistic approach, like what we used to do, is to say community members should believe in themselves. Religious leaders should engage. Both the Christian and Muslims should identify themselves, do a lot of dialogue or do a kind of dialogue so that they can understand some of these problems. If they understand it from both our faith angle, we will be able to harmonize and challenge those that we feel are the problem. But when we are doing things in isolation or in silos, it is not going to work. If a problem happens with the Christians, maybe for example, Muslims say, it doesn't have anything to do with me. If it happened the other way around, others will also do the same complaint. But if we are able to come together, to unite, it might take time, but with a good heart, with sincerity of purpose, we'll be able to achieve all those things. And if we have challenges within us, even with the political actors, we will be able to dialogue, to discuss, to say these are the challenges, how do we go about it? For example, these few days that we notice, most places you go in Nigeria, people are talking about how can they survive, because the economic situation is difficult on the people. It is really, really difficult. Everywhere you go, you hear people complaining, and that is the time bomb we are seeing. And we said we have capacity to manage issues that you're hearing on a daily basis from the community level, at the church level, at the mosque level, at the community level. So that is one of the challenge that we are facing with. We are trying to see how do we analyze, who do we talk to. Part of the network that we have, the network of peace journalism, did a press release today. And the press release is all about the government coming in to salvage the situation, because the situation is really, really hard for the common people, even for the middlemen that normally feel they are okay. It's very difficult. When you apply our routes, the routes now, you hardly see vehicles moving. In the morning, you see people trekking to places of work because they don't have transport. It is a time bomb. So government need to look at their policies to see how it can be impactful to the people. Whatever interest they have, they can look elsewhere. Since the world now is going innovative, they can look at other things, but salvage and support your people so that there can be peace on the ground. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Samson. Thank you so much.